Please welcome America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
There's two elements of it. The first one does the first one starts to begin to do that second one, which is when you use the name, there's a science behind that called achieving the halo effect, which is defined by that feeling of, I don't know what I like about this guy, but there's something I like about him. I don't know what it is. Probably it's the fact that he's using your first name on just the right basis. Like there's an overuse of the first name sometimes because you're just like, all right.
Yes, definitely.
And then there's
I would rather hear that, Joe. I like overdo it because it's hardly anyone's doing it right now. So I'd rather
tell you to pull it back a little bit than to. Yeah. It's harder to get somebody to pull it back down a little bit than it is to get them started with. But that halo effect is such an important, and that does create confidence when I start using your name, as well as it does create more value because now it's that you're keeping it, that the person I'm talking to is keeping in mind the benefit that I'm going to get from the service, because you can't use the person's name unless you're directing whatever service that you are giving them right now. Hey, Cory, let me go ahead right now. It looks like you're busy. Let me go ahead and get you on the schedule now. This way you don't have to remember to call me back. That kind of a thing like that, which is like, if you start using a name, you start to care more. And when you start to care more, that's when good service hits the sweet spot to me. What do you think about that? Like if you said, if the slogan of the company was "We care more," what would you say to that slogan? What would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think we all need to care much more than we do about the phones and about customer service. This book here, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I always bring this up because what's funny about names, Joe, while we're on this topic, is when I teach this in the South, CSRs sometimes look at me like I'm teaching some new age witchcraft doctrine, right? Why? Because a lot of us in the South grew up on sir and ma'am. So I have to retrain them. And I always start with why. I'm not the type of trainer that's going to come and say, hey, do this because I think it's the best way. I want them to buy in. I want them to understand the why behind it. So I bring up this book written in 1930, right? In the 1930s, still a bestseller to this day. Dale Carnegie dedicates an entire chapter to names, remembering names and using them often. And he says they're the most beautiful and sweetest sound in any language. And so that helps, right? That it's not a new age thing. And first name is best, last name is good, ma'am and sir is bad. And as I'm sure you know, Joe, there's been a lot of studies done around this, that more people have been offended by being called ma'am or sir than by their first name. And so I spend a lot of time on names. And again, some people are like, is it really worth that much? Yes, it's very important. It's one of the most important things in my book when it comes to building rapport and trust with your customer, which is your target and your goal. So the only people I watch out for, which I'm sure you're familiar with, is doctors, lawyers, professional people. Sometimes they prefer to be called doctor or Mr. or sir. But for the majority of your customers out there, they love to hear their first name. And there's a right and wrong way to do it. But I like doing it right in the beginning. It's a great day at such and such company. This is Cory. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? And they say, this is John. I say, well, hey, John, thank you so much for giving us a call. How can I be of assistance to you, right? So I get to use their name right out of the gate, and then I like to use it at least 3 times is always my target. But for those out there that maybe your CSRs aren't doing it and you're listening to this, you're like, I need to do that. Start baby steps. Just get them to ask in the beginning of the call. That's the first step. The second step is just have them use it one time in the greeting. And then once they get good at that, they can add it a second time somewhere in the middle, right? Hey, John, we're going to send out our 5-star technician, right? And then at the end, John, thank you so much for calling us today. We're looking forward to serving you. And it really does wonders and works magic.
Well, Cory,
knocks their socks off, as I
I
would
think
say.
it's a great takeaway from everybody, whether you are working in the field, whether you're in that call center, whether you are a supervisor talking to your coworker, or you are your coworker talking to your boss. I think honestly that it's a universal tool of creating value and connection, Cory, that I think is underrated, and I think sometimes just forgotten because we're so busy focusing on ourselves and what we're trying to get or what we want to.
Yeah.
It's like anything we just do alone by ourselves, isolated. It always turns kind of like to it turns bad. But the thing that's bad, but it doesn't. It doesn't really serve us the best. It doesn't. Like the opportunity we all have out there is the connection we make with people, and I think you
Yeah.
definitely typify that by you just calling me out of the blue and just wanting to. He didn't ask me to be on the podcast. I just it was my idea. I think he might have known that it would be an idea I would have. I'm not sure.
Actually, I wasn't aware. I should have been aware of it, but I was not aware of the podcast. So no, that wasn't
I
my
want to get on
objective.
there. I want to get on your show now. I want to go on some of those things and I want to be the secret caller. And
No, I would love
I'll,
you to, Joe. I would love you to, we haven't done guests yet, but that's because I started a podcast as well, but I'm more moving away from that and focusing on the booked or busted. But I want to bring guests on where I do my people and process, what I call my SOC score, the
yeah,
customer service. Daniel does his tech score, and then we're going to have our guest score, right? So I think it would be a
nice.
lot of fun. So we'll schedule that.
I'd love to see that. I love this. I love the. Actually, I was sold best practice training by a guy who did that. He came into a seminar room, and he's like, "So you guys think you answer the phone good? Yeah, we all think we do." And it's like
Mhm.
then they all recorded while we were in the first hour of the seminar. They were recording our CSRs, and then
Oh, yeah,
they
that's
played
great.
it. It was Maurice Mayo, back in the
Uh-huh.
early '90s. Your dad definitely knew Maurice. Uh,
Okay.
he was on his own little track, but he called everybody's office and just we all just were made our guts turn in front of us, and because we
Yeah.
played it in public on the stage in front of all of us, and we were like, oh my god, I can't. Yeah, my CSR is like, yeah, the boss isn't here, he can't get you a price on that. He's at a seminar learning how to make more money. That's what she told
Yep.
the customer.
Yep.
So anyway,
Uh,
some good
it's
stuff there, some good memories. But hey, Cory, I think our time. Of course, I think I could talk with you for hours and
mhm,
hours. I don't think I could probably end the conversation.
mhm.
Thank God we do have a little bit of a stop limit here because of the show and what people expect to listen to here. But Cory, how can people learn more about your service and the service you offer so they can just have a phone call? And by the way, it doesn't have to be a gigantic call center. I mean, sometimes the call center is just 3 or 4 people or 2 people answering the phone. Is that true?
Yeah.
You don't have to have 25
Nope.
people to do. You could
Nope.
do
We
two,
will start.
3 people.
Yep. So our ideal customer is somebody that literally just started your technician that just started your business and you're the one answering the phones. I'd be happy to talk to you and start laying the foundation as you build and scale. It's a good time to get an idea of where you're going, all the way up to large private equity groups, that have, multiple locations. There's really no limit there. We're able to help because the reality is where it all starts is with that call center audit. We call in and we play the customer. So we want to experience what the customer experiences, whether we're making the phone call, whether we're scheduling online, whether we're talking to you through web chat or filling out a web form. We look at all those things and we're looking at it from the people and process side and then the technology and system side. And so that's
Hmm.
where it starts. And it's called an IQS, inbound quality score. We give you a full report that shows you what you're doing really well, the areas that you need to improve, and then areas that we can help you get that in. So very, very robust report, but it just gives you. You probably heard the saying, "You're too close to the trees to see the forest." Right? Sometimes getting somebody else's perspective that has the expertise that's niched in that, it does wonders, and you
Yeah,
start to
I think
see things.
sometimes when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label. I always say too, if somebody.
Right, exactly. That's a
Thank you for listening and watching the Service MVP podcast.
I want to give you a copy of my free book. Just click on the link below in the description and one will be sent to you from me personally. Thank you so much for listening.